Hey guys, it's Travis with Parker Mountain Machine. Today we're going to go over the disassembly of the SCAR 17, 16, as well as the Mark 20. Alright, to disassemble the SCAR 17 or 16, as well as the Mark 20, the first step is to remove this captured takedown pin at the front of your lower receiver. You just pop that out, pull it through the other side, and you'll want to tilt this down and forward. And that'll separate your lower receiver from the upper. The next thing you can do is slide your stock off of the receiver. Now, to take your bolt carrier group out, you have this recoil pad back here. You're going to want to pull it out slightly and rotate it out, and then your recoil spring will slide out. You can now move your bolt carrier back towards the rear till it stops, and your charging handle will come right out, and then your bolt carrier is free. That's it for the internals on the SCAR 17. We'll move on to removing your barrel next. Now, to remove the barrel on your SCAR 16 or 17, as well as the Mark 20, however that will have one extra barrel bolt on each side, you'll need a T25 Torx bit. It's easiest to use a small ratchet for this, and you can start undoing one of these 3 bolts. There's 3 on each side for 6 total. They are captured, so you will not lose them. As you can hear, they are ratcheted inside the bolt. There's a J-spring in there doing that, and again, they are captive. You will not lose those. Now we're going to do the same for the other side. Now before we pull the barrel forward, we're going to want to make sure that all these are loose and no longer threaded in whatsoever, otherwise it'll fight you on the way out. So you can see that here this one was a little bit in there still. Now the barrel will be free to move slightly forward and up and out of the receiver. Now your barrel is removed from the receiver, and you can move on to installing your parts. To install the barrel on the FN SCAR, it's going to be the same process as the removal, but with one step slightly changed. What you're going to want to do is take your barrel and line up your barrel extension into the notch cut out here in the receiver. Make sure it's in the rails and can slide freely. You can then slide it backwards all the way into place, making sure it is seated all the way in. Now you can take your T25 ratchet and get the bolts started. You will need some downward pressure to defeat the spring that's capturing these bolts. Once you hear them start to ratchet, you know you're threading it in. Now, when it comes to tightening down the barrel and receiver bolts, you only want to start being hand tight, because you'll need to follow a torque sequence when it comes time to torquing it down properly. So there's a couple tools I have in front of me. This is the torque wrench from the FN SCAR Armorer's kit, as well as a Wheeler fat wrench here. Both will work just fine. For the demonstration purposes of the video, we're going to use the FN SCAR's tool. With the T25 Torx bit installed onto your torque wrench, you're going to want to alternate these bolts like the wheel bolts on a car, starting from the rearmost position forward. So you can start at the back here, get that good 62 inch-pounds of torque, and flip over to the other side. Once again, alternating as you move forward. Now with these forward bolts here, the torque is not as crucial because it is not torquing onto the barrel. Instead, the receiver yoke that is just keeping the receiver from collapsing in on itself, but it will handle the 62 inch-pounds just fine.